welcome to ASMR Literature. My name is Laura and I will be reading to you today. I'm specifically reading the collected poems of Emily Dickinson, which she is the person who got me into poetry. Here are some of her most famous lines. Obviously, there's an introduction here, but I will not be reading that. Primarily because I tend to be very upset with people and how Emily Dickinson is portrayed in media and in other fashions in history and how she is perceived. However, that does not change the fact that her art, her poetry is amazing, and she was not appreciated in her time. So we'll begin. I've doggy-eared somewhere in here, right there, where I will stop, and we'll get to that point when we get there. But here's the beginning of the collected poems of Emily Dickinson. Part 1. Life. This is my letter to the world that never wrote to me, the simple news that nature told, that tender majesty. Her message is committed to what hands I cannot see. For love of her sweet countrymen, judge tenderly of me. 1. Success is counted sweetest by those who ne'er succeed. To comprehend a nectar requires sorest need. Not one of all the purple host who took the flag today can tell the definition so clear a victory as he defeated dying, on whose forbidden ear the distant strain of triumph break agonized and clear. Two. Our share of night to bear, our share of morning, our blank in bliss to fill, our blank in scorning. Here a star and there a star, some lose their way. Here a mist and there a mist, afterwards a day. So wilt thou toss again by such a hazard? Hundreds have lost indeed, but tens have won, and all. Angels' breathless ballot lingers to record thee. Imps in eager caucus raffle for my soul. That was 3, if you can't tell. You should be able to tell. 4. It is so much joy, it is so much joy. If I should fail, what poverty, and yet as poor as I, have ventured all upon a throw, have gained, yes, hesitated so, this side the victory. Life is but life, and death but death. Bliss is but bliss, and breath but breath. And if indeed I fail, at least I know the worst is sweet. Defeat means nothing but defeat. No drearier can prevail. And if I gain, oh, gunnet see, oh, bells that in the steeples be, at first repeat it slow, for heaven is a different thing, conjectured and waked sudden in, and I'd overwhelm me so. 5. Lee, the great storm is over. 4 have recovered the land. 40 gone down together into the boiling sand. Ring for the scant salvation, toll for the bonny souls, neighbor and friend and bridegroom, spinning upon the shoals. How they will tell the shipwreck when winter shakes the door, till the children ask, but the 40, did they come back no more? Then a silence suffuses the story, and a softness the teller's eyes, and the children no further question, and only the waves reply. Six. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. Seven. Within my reach, I could have touched. I might have chanced that way. Soft sauntered through the village, soft sauntered as soft away. So unsuspected violets within the fields lie low, too late for striving fingers that passed an hour ago. 8. A wounded deer leaps highest, I've heard the hunters tell. 'Tis but the ecstasy of death, and then the break is still. The smitten rock that gushes, the trampled steel that springs, a cheek is always redder, just where the hectic stings. Mirth is the mail of anguish, in which it caution arm, lest nobody spy the blood, and "You're hurt!" exclaim. 9. The heart asks pleasure first, and then excuse from pain, and then those little endings that deaden suffering, and then to go to sleep, and then, if it should be, the will of its inquisitor, the liberty to die. A precious smoldering pleasure it is to meet an antique book, in just the dress his century wore, a privilege, I think. His venerable hand to take, and warming in our own, a passage back or two to make, to times when he was young. His quaint opinions to inspect, his knowledge to unfold, on what concerns our mutual mind, the literature of old. What interested scholars most? What competitions ran? When Plato was a certainty, and Sophocles a man. When Sappho was a living girl, and Beatrice wore the gown that Dante defied facts centuries before. He traverses familiar as one hand come to town, as one should come to town, and tell you all your dreams were true. He lived where dreams were born. His presence in enchantment, you beg him not to go. Old volumes shake their vellum heads, and tantalize just slow. That was 10. I think I missed saying it, but here we are. 11. Much madness is divinest sense, to a discerning eye, much sense the starkest madness. 'Tis the majority, and those all prevails, assent, and you are saying, demure, your straightway dangerous, and handled with a chain. 12. I ask no other thing, no other was denied. I offered being for it. The mighty merchant smiled. Brazil, he twirled a button, without a glance my way. But madam, is there nothing else that we can show today? I think that one's interesting. I think there's more context that we're missing, maybe. 13. The soul selects her own society, then shuts the door. On her divine majority, obtrude no more. Unmoved she notes the chariots pausing at her low gate. Unmoved an emperor is kneeling upon her mat. I've known her for an ample nation. Choose one, then close the valves of her attention like stone. 14. Some things that fly there be, birds, ours, the bumblebee. Of these no elegy. Some things that stay there be, grief, hills, eternity. Nor this behooveth me. There are that resting rise. Can I expound the skies? How still the riddle lies. 15. I know some lonely houses off the road, a Robert like the look of, wooden barred, and windows hanging low, inviting to a portico, where two could creep, one hand the tools, the other peep, to make sure all is asleep, old-fashioned eyes, not easy to surprise. How orderly the kitchen looked by night, with just a clock, but they could gag the tick, and mice won't bark. And so the walls don't tell, none will. A pair of spectacles ajar, just stir, and almanacs aware. Was it the mat that winked? Or a nervous star? The moon slides down the stair to see who's there. There's plunder where? Tankard or spoon? Earring or stone? A watch, some ancient brooch to match the grandmamma stayed sleeping there. Day rattles too, stealth slow. The sun has got as far as the third sycamore. Screams chanticleer, who's there? And echoes, trains away, sneer, where? While the old couple, just astir, think that the sunrise left the door ajar. I really want to know what inspired that poem. I wonder if it was something to do with her own grandparents' loss. Tell me what you think. I would love to know. 16. To fight aloud is very brave, but gallanter I know, who charge within the bosom the cavalry of woe, who win, and nations who do not see, who fall, and none observe, whose dying eyes no country regards with patriot love. We trust in plumed procession, for such the angles go, rank after rank, with even foot and uniforms of snow. "17. When night is almost done, and sunrise grows so near that we can touch the spaces, it's time to smooth the hair and get the dimples ready and wonder we could care for that old faded midnight that frightened but an hour." 18. Read, sweet, how others strove, till we are stouter, what they renounced, till we are less afraid, how many times they bore the faithful witness, till we are helped, as if the kingdom cared. Read then of faith that shone above the faggot, clear strains of hymn the river could not drown, brave names of men and celestial women passed out of record into renown. I think this is a very interesting moment that this term, faggot, originally is meant to mean a bundle of sticks. There's an entire history there that I will not get into, but that is something to remark on in regards to how that term has been used and abused. That's probably not for here. 19. Pain is an element of blank. It cannot recollect when it began, or if there were a day when it was not. It has no future but itself. Its infinite realms contain. Its past enlightened to perceive no periods of pain. 20. I taste a liquor never brewed, from tankards scooped in pearl. Not all the vats upon the Rhine yield such an alcohol. Inebriate of air am I, and debauch of dew, reeling through endless summer days from inns of molten blue. When landlords turn the drunken bee out of the foxglove's door, when butterflies renounce their drams, I shall but drink the more, till seraphs swing their snowy hats and saints to windows run to see the little tippler leaning against the sun. 21. He ate and drank the precious words. His spirit grew robust. He knew no more that he was poor, nor that his frame was dust. He danced along the dingy days, and this bequest of wings was but a book, what liberty a loosened spirit brings. 22. I had no time to hate, because the grave would hinder me, and life was not so ample I could finish enmity. Nor had I time to love, but since some industry must be, the little toil of love, I thought, was large enough for me. 23. 'Twas such a little boat that toddled down the bay. 'Twas such a gallant sea that beckoned it away. 'Twas such a greedy wave that licked it from the coast, nor ever guessed the stately sails my little craft was lost. 24. Whether my bark went down at sea, whether she met with gales, whether to isles enchanted she bent her docile sails, by what mystic mooring she is held today, this is the errand of the eye out upon the bay. 25. Belshazzar had a letter. He never had but one. Belshazzar's correspondent concluded and begun. In that immortal copy, the conscience of us all can read without its glasses on Revelation's wall. I think that's kind of fascinating. I'm really very curious as to what Emily Dickinson's spiritual beliefs are. I would love to elaborate more on that. 26. The brain within its groove runs evenly and true, but let a splinter swerve 'twere easier for you to put the water back when floods have slit the hills and scooped a turnpike for themselves and blotted out the mills. 27. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? And there's a pair of us. Don't tell. They'd banish us, you know. How dreary to be somebody, how public like a frog, to tell your name the livelong day to an admiring bog. So, fun fact, that was actually the poem that I read in middle school that originally got me into poetry. I read it like 3 times in a row because, you know, as a middle schooler, you do feel like nobody. And I feel like she gave a romantic appeal to that feeling. At least one that we should all enjoy every once in a while. 28. I bring an unaccustomed wine to lips long parching next to mine, and summon them to drink. Crackling with fever, they essay. I turn my brimming eyes away, and come next hour to look. The hands still hug the tardy glass, the lips I would have cooled, alas, are so superfluous cold. I would as soon attempt to warm the bosoms where the frost is lain, ages beneath the mold. Some other thirsty there may be, to whom this would have pointed me, had it remained to speak. And so I always bear the cup, if haply mine may be the drop some pilgrim thirst to slack. If haply any say to me, unto the little unto me, when I at last awake. 29. The nearest dream recedes unrealized, the heaven we chase, like the June bee before the schoolboy invites the race, stoops to an easy clover, dips, evade, teases, deploy. Then to the royal clouds lifts his light pennants. heedless of the boy, staring bewildered at the mocking sky, homesick for steadfast honey. Ah, the bee flies not that bruise, that rare variety. And now we're at 30. We play at paste till qualified for pearl, then drop the paste and deem ourselves a fool. The shapes, though, were similar, and our new hands learn gymnastics, practicing sands. "31. I found the phrase to every thought I ever had but one, and that defies me as a hand did try to chalk the sun. Two races nurtured in the dark, how would your own begin? Can blaze be done in cochineal, or noon in Mazarin?" 32. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. The sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. So we've clearly seen the part, this little flicker, which is fun to play with, where I've doggy-eared the page. Do you doggy-ear? I doggy-ear. My spouse does not. Let me know if you doggy-ear your books, or if you think I am a heathen. Because you are right, I am a heathen, but we don't need to get there. I'll just finish up these last two poems, even if I have to turn the page for it. 33. Dare you see a soul at the white heart heat, then crouch within the door. Red is the fire's common tint, but when the vivid ore has sated flame's conditions, its quivering substance plays without a color but the light of unanointed blaze. Least village boasts its blacksmiths, whose anvil's even din stands symbol for the finer forge that soundless tugs within, refining these impatient ores with hammer and with blaze, until the designated light reputant the forge. 34. Who never lost, are unprepared, a coronet to find. Who never thirsted flagons in cooling tamarind. Who never climbed the weary league, can such a foot explore the purple territories on Pizarro's shore. How many legions overcome, the emperor will say. How many colors taken on Revolution Day. How many bullets bearest, the royal scar hast thou, angel's right promoted on the soldier's brow. So there is 35, and part of me wants to read it just to feel like I have completed a full section, but I think I'm going to leave it here, and if you're angry at me, let me know. Or at least angry at me for that. or I guess you can let me know if you're angry at me for anything else. I will happily take your criticism. But that is it for now. And that will be where I finish up for now. Like I said, this is ASMR Literature. My name is Lore, and I hope to see more of you. And like and subscribe if you want more fun literature. All open sourced, of course, because I cannot afford copyright. Thank you. Hope to see you soon. Or see you again, I guess. Have a good night. Goodbye.